Los Angeles never slept. It churned. It heaved. It scraped metal against concrete until sparks filled the air. On the outer crusts of the Dregsprawl, behind a row of busted shops that leaned into each other like old drunks, Sid Severin eased his bare-bones RV into its usual space, only a few blocks from the quarantine wall of Darkwards D45. Above him, airships skimmed through the gathering clouds, their hulls flashing muted holographic ads that flickered in the smog. That little parking trick saved him a few credits a week. It made him feel smart, even though he knew it was just survival. They used to call them RVs back when people traveled for fun. Now they were reclavs, reclamation-class vehicles, modified for salvage, debt, and survival. The wall towered 100 feet into the air, a slab of reinforced concrete built to keep nightmares inside and the forgotten millions outside. It hummed with dormant power. Faded warning lights blinked across its surface like tired eyes. No one knew if the defense grid inside still worked. No one wanted to find out. Sid shut off the engine. The silence inside the cab felt heavy. Aeterna Global owned the reclav he was sitting in, as well as the debt contract, and half of his thoughts. Every day the numbers climbed. Every day he wondered what they would take from him next. He bounced the ignition key in his hand and stared at the red balance warning on the dash, wondering how many missed payments it would take before their repo drones came down from the Sky District.
Messages.
A few robocalls played. One offered discounted stim patches. Another tried to sell him debt insurance he couldn't afford. Then the tone changed. One message pulsed with a red border and a soft priority chime. Aeterna, marked urgent. He swallowed and played it. The dash screen blinked to life. Her face filled the display. Perfect, sharp, and vaguely artificial. He called her the Ice Witch, though he doubted she was ever real. Just a sim face stitched together from Aeterna's mega-firm training archive.
Good evening, Mr. Severin. Aeterna Global Finance would like to remind you that your lease balance has reached a level that requires immediate attention. Our records indicate repeated requests for maintenance on your current vehicle. Please note that your contract clearly states all non-critical repairs fall under client responsibility. Failure to remit your minimum payment by the end of the cycle will result in compulsory task allocation. This may include deeper excavation assignments within Darkwards D45. As you are aware, such assignments carry elevated risk ratings. We trust you will act promptly to avoid unnecessary escalation. Thank you for choosing Aeterna Global.
Yeah. Thanks for choosing me too.
He leaned forward, resting his forehead against the steering wheel as the glow from the dashboard washed over his face. A deeper dive into D45 meant longer hours, worse routes, and a lot more chances to get killed. All because he couldn't keep up with a bill that grew faster than he could breathe. He stepped into the night. Wei Lo's noodle shop sat 10 paces away. The sign flickered in red and yellow hues, buzzing softly like a dying insect. Sid liked the place. It was cheap, open all night, and so close that he didn't need fuel to get there. The smell of stale piss drifted through the alley, mixing with the metallic scent that always clung to the wall. He walked around the front of the reclav, brushing dust off the lower panels. It leaned slightly to one side. One of the hydraulics had started clicking last week. Aeterna wanted too much to fix it, so Sid ignored the issue and hoped the vehicle didn't collapse in its sleep. A pair of fallouts drifted past on the opposite walkway, their pupils glowing faintly from the chems they inhaled. The unpredictable gangers roamed in loose packs, stemmed up on cheap drugs and street brew, bodies twitching and jittering like electric puppets. They were violent when they wanted to be, but stylish too. Their clothes were patched with their red and black gang colors and faded designer prints. They looked like hungry predators wearing the skin of influencers. Everyone kept their distance. Sid kept one hand near the door latch and watched them from behind his shaded visor. He had seen what they did to people who couldn't run fast enough.
Packs of twitchy murder peacocks.
He looked up at the gym next door, a dingy structure with a sagging skywalk bridge dangling over it. The owner, a thick man with a shaved head and taped wrists, leaned against the doorway with a towel over his shoulder. He nodded once. Sid nodded back. Even though the place smelled like crushed iron and wet concrete, the owner let Sid shower there for free, as long as Sid stayed quiet and didn't scare the paying customers. Sid always thanked him. It was the only place he felt clean.
Maybe I'll thank him with an air freshener.
Sometimes he laughed about that. His vehicle's water pump had been broken for months, and Aeterna wanted a fortune to fix it. He'd need a lucky run soon. The night turned colder along the wall. Sid, fresh from his shower, walked a cracked stretch beside it. A thin mist drifted from D-45's vents. It tasted like chemical coolant. Somewhere inside the zone, a dead terminal crackled to life. 2 beeps, then silence. The sound slid through the concrete like a memory. His girlfriend, Mirage, lived across the district in a cramped mid-level studio. She liked him, or maybe just tolerated him, but hated his life. The RV, the food shop, the low ceilings of the Dregsprawl. She said it felt like the city was swallowing him. Sid never had an answer. He just picked at his noodles and nodded. They hadn't fought, not yet, but he could feel the seams fraying. Back at the reclav, he climbed to the upper deck. The bottom held tools, scav gear, and crates he never sorted. The top was supposed to be living space, but Sid never had the credits to make it one. Just a bare mattress, a cracked screen, and a single lantern hanging from a hook. It felt like living inside the skeleton of something better. Sometimes he imagined adding a rug, a table, maybe. Then he'd remember. The reclav wasn't his. It belonged to Aeterna. If he survived long enough, maybe he could buy one that didn't blink warnings every morning. Before sleep, he always listened. The rattle of broken drones, the sharp laughter of fallouts playing some twitchy street game, the maglev hum far above the smog. The wall groaned, like something inside was shifting. He lay still, staring at the ceiling, wondering if tomorrow brought work or another warning from Aeterna. In the Dregsprawl, you learned to take what little you had. His RV, his showers, 100-foot wall, the cheapest noodles in the district, and the hope that something better might still be out there. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get him through the night. Sid closed his eyes. In that silence, the first real night of his story began.
The story of the Darkwards Drifter.